Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Flying solo as of the moment. We'll have Emilio joining us here shortly. We got an awesome show for you guys and gals as we start to dig into the Denver Broncos week here. It is December the 10th. And we've got a lot to cover. We've got a new injury report to dive into. We've got the new PTA power rankings I want to touch on. We're going to do a quick Packers versus Broncos first look preview, kind of give you the betting line, look at some of the key matchups in terms of the quarterback matchups, things like that, and how PFF sees it. And then we're going to end the show doing a giveaway. We're giving away an autographed Jordan Morgan rookie card. So that's what we got on tap this evening. Before we dive into everything, if you would, please do that YouTube stuff for me. Hit like, hit subscribe. If this is your first time tuning into PTA, welcome. Thank you for making us a part of your evening. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media members. We're fans just like you talking Packers on a daily basis. So if you're looking for that type of content, make sure you click subscribe and hit the bell icon so you're notified anytime we do hit that go live button. And tonight you're tuning into the Wednesday edition where we start to begin to dive into the next opponent. And that always starts with the injury report, obviously. So let's just waste no time and get right into it. The injury report was released just a few minutes ago, and I want to give a shout out to Paul Brettel for tweeting it out for everybody. And here's what we're looking at so far, guys. We did a show earlier today. You probably caught that stream, whether you caught the live stream or the video later. Lucas Van Ness back at practice, really good stuff. Obviously, Marshawn Lloyd continuing to practice. Savion Williams returned to practice. And there was one more. I'm trying to think of who it was. There's another player that came back. Christian Welch. That's right, linebacker. So here's our first injury report. The releases every Wednesday on a normal Sunday game. And oh, by the way, schedule change. Next week, we play on Saturday night against the Bears. Going to be absolutely awesome. Saturday night primetime. And then the following week, the Ravens, Saturday night primetime. So make sure you guys adjust your calendars accordingly. We'll be doing pregame shows and postgame shows for all of that coming up. So here is the Packers injury report. Javon Bullard limited. Let's just go down the line. Actually, let's just talk about the did not participates, okay? And then we may take a little bit of time for the limited because there are a bunch of players that are limited here. And this is a good thing in my opinion, right? Anytime you've got literally one player that did not participate in practice, other than the players obviously that are not on injured reserve, that only player is Josh Jacobs. Now, listen, that's a huge one, right? Although it's the knee that's been, bothering him this entire time. I imagine he's planning on playing on Sunday. I wouldn't be surprised if Josh Jacobs, this is his injury status for the rest of the year. It's just take it very, very easy. Let's just don't overextend that knee. Don't, get him out there on the practice squad too much and let him kind of just kind of get that veteran rest, if you will, man. He's been toting the rock a lot. He runs hard. We've seen the key plays as we broke down the plays last night from the win over the Bears. Running hard this time of year. It's getting colder weather. The body's starting to get broken up a little bit more. I'm totally cool with Josh Jacobs not practicing for the rest of the year, right? And we know he knows everything about this offense. He's a leader in that locker room. There's no one who's going to look over and go, why ain't he practicing? They know he's the workhorse. So I feel really good about this injury report. You get a number of different players. We'll just rattle them off here in terms of being limited. Javon Bullard, Brenton Cox Jr., Kingsley Enagbare, Matthew Golden, Marshawn Lloyd. Full participation was Jordan Love with the left shoulder. He's good to go, obviously. Colin Oliver. You've got Jaden Reed, Jordan Riley, Zach Tom, Lucas Van Ness, Christian Welch, Dontavion Wicks, and Savion Williams. So the majority of those players obviously are all limited there other than Josh Jacobs, who did not participate, and Jordan Love with the full participation. Now, there is a couple of notes to make here. Brenton Cox Jr., Marshawn Lloyd, Colin Oliver, they've been designated to return from injury reserve. However, they're currently within that 21-day practice window. So what that essentially means is they're still ramping up. Now, those guys could go this weekend, right? Like Marshawn Lloyd, there's a chance he could possibly go. Colin Oliver, same thing. I think the one that kind of sticks out to me the most here is Brenton Cox Jr. However, if you're getting Lucas Van Ness back, which obviously he practiced today in a limited fashion, but he was out there, I imagine that, you'll kind of ease Brenton Cox Jr. a little bit more into the fold later if LVN can go. Now, if Brenton Cox Jr. is way ahead of schedule and he can go. And then Lucas Van Ness maybe needs to take a step back. That might be the approach as well. So we'll keep an eye on that for sure moving forward with the Packers injury report. Moving on to the Broncos side, they've only got 4 players on the injury report, and that's Nate Atkins, tied in with the knee injury. He's limited. Pat Bryant, wide receiver. I think that's a rookie, right? Let me double check my notes here. I think we had him on the board this year. Give me just a second. Pat Bryant. Yeah, we have Pat Bryant at a 112.6 grade, which means he's worthy of about around the 100 to 120th pick range, somewhere around there. So he's got a hamstring. He did not participate. I imagine that's something that we're going to want to monitor all week long. Hammies in cold weather obviously is going to be an issue, although maybe I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chat, but if I understood the forecast correctly, it's supposed to be up around 60 degrees in Denver Sunday, which is wild to think about, obviously, for the month of December. So mid-December at that. But DJ Jones, defensive tackle with an ankle injury, full participation. And then Ben Powers, guard with a bicep injury. He was limited. So only 4 players on that. And Ben Powers is the same as those other 3 players for the Packers, where he's designated to return from injury reserve. So they're ramping him up, and he's in that 21-day practice window. We got Emilio joining us now. Emilio, you didn't miss much, man. We're just kind of briefly going over the injury report. The news that we broke earlier today, LVN back at practice in a limited fashion. That's great news, right? He's probably ramping up to try to go Sunday. And that's really the only one you're overly concerned about is Josh Jacobs with the knee. But like I was saying, man, maybe you see it different. I kind of feel like Josh Jacobs in this sense is probably going to be like this the rest of the year. Just, hey, let him sit out practice most of the time, get him the reps when he needs them. But for the most part, that dude's good to go. Just make sure he's resting that knee as much as possible. Oh, can't hear you, Emilio. Check your mic, big dog. Emilio's been having some technical difficulty. It's funny you said that, too, because when I went to log in, the wind picked up, knocked everything out on me, so I had to reboot and jump back in here.
You can hear me now?
Yeah, we got you, big dog. We got you, man.
I don't
honestly, know what the question was, but
I think there's a lag too, man. That storm that's hitting right now is just struggling outside. But yeah, no, I think you're right with Josh, man. Just fighting through that injury, but we know that he's all about how he's going to be able to handle his pain with that, and he's going to tell if he's not ready, if he's not going to be able to go. I think that he'll be in good shape. But I think you're right. Keep that tag on him. Keep that tag on most of these guys, just so you get that extra rehab. Take it easy on it. Just as long as you can play in the game is all that matters.
Yeah, definitely. Coach Lynn in the chat said LVN more edge with JJ and kick Gary inside. Boy, I'd be all about it, man. I think Gary is a little bit better built to play 3-tech, to be honest with you, man. Now, the flip side of that, Coach, is obviously you don't want to upset the run defense, right? Now, you would think Gary, as good as he is against the run, he's our best defensive lineman against the run, matter of fact, he'd be able to absorb that more than anyone, but it's hard for me, Emilio, when I read Coach Lynn's comment. It's still hard for me to get out of that mindset of a 2-gapping 3-4 defense, because we ran it for so long, right? I mean, all the way back to, what was it, 2009 when Dom Capers came in? From that point forward, we stayed in the 34. So I immediately think, nope, Gary's not big enough to 2-gap. And I'm like, well, we're not 2-gapping, right? Just occasionally when the scheme calls for it. But what do you think about that, man? How would you feel about Gary kicking inside, or do you think that might upset the apple cart a little bit?
Honestly, I mean, I feel like Gary and LVN are sort of interchangeable in the fact of, like, we walk LVN down when we go in that NASCAR package when he's out there. I think Gary can do the same thing. I think if you let Gary and Micah both stand up and you can kind of flutter that in a little bit, I feel like most of those guys are pretty interchangeable. Micah, LVN, and Gary could all play 3 and out, no problem. You see Micah in on the nose. It's all about how you're attacking them as well. If you're trying to attack with power and, drive through the guy, it's a different aspect for putting, Gary out there versus Micah. So it's just really what you're looking for in that time against what team.
Yeah, great point. Soder in the chat says LVN neutralizes Nicks more than Gary. If you're talking about the scrambling ability, completely agree. If you had to pick between those two defenders, Gary or LVN, maybe playing a little cage rush or a contain on the edge, I'm definitely picking LVN. He's got the wingspan. He's got the quickness, obviously. He's much younger. I completely agree with that. Although I don't know how much Bo Nix is looking to run, to be honest with you. I haven't watched much of their tape yet. But we could probably pull his stats and kind of see that if we wanted to. And we're going to dive into some of the rankings in terms of the PTA rankings next. But that's an interesting point there. I like what Soder said. So if you had to choose between the two, you had to put one at 3, you had to put one on the edge, and you got a mobile quarterback. Probably does make a little more sense to have LVN out there rather than Gary. But most likely, neither of these guys will be playing a 3-tech unless we're in that Joker, or not the Joker package, but the Cheetah package, right? So.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, unless at some point you say, hey, I want my best 4 out there, and you walk one of them in there for a drive, and you're just saying, hey, Gary, you're going to have to play 3 for me this drive, or, you and LVN are going to rotate. We're going to move Micah around. Maybe it's a package Hafley adds week 16, 17, gets 2 games with it, maybe sprinkles it in last game of the season, and then you start using it in the postseason. You never know, but you always got to think kind of one step ahead. Where are we heading? And again, what team are we going against? Are they run heavy, pass heavy, scrambling, whatnot?
Absolutely. Ron Sample in the chat says, I keep thinking Gary looks slower, but it's not fair to compare him to Parsons. It's not fair to compare anybody to Parsons, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's really not. He is, and I know exactly what you mean. You see Gary not be able to run Caleb Williams down, you think, oh, Gary's slow. No, Gary's a pretty quick defender. Caleb's really fast. He's been clocked numerous times over 20 miles per hour, and thank God for Micah Parsons being able to run that 4.340. So,
right.
All right, so there's a quick look, like I said, the early look, the first day look at the injury report. So if you guys are watching this video back later, let us know in the comments. How do you feel about the injury report? To me, it looks like we're as healthy as we've been all year long, outside of the players that are on IR, obviously. But we want to hear from you guys and gals in the comments. Let us know who you're concerned about, or maybe one that we sounded concerned about that you disagree with. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you're notified when we do go live here in the near future. All right, Emilio, let's jump into the PTA power rankings. Again, this is your Excelio creation over here. I'm going to get you to do a couple more of these too. I want to do quarterback rankings and stuff eventually. We'll get to it. But, so we got our new PTA power rankings. And if you guys are wondering what this is, everybody does their power rankings and they never give you the formula, right? Emilio, I'm probably wrong, but when I hear so-and-so, I'm trying to think of just a random Tom Brady. Tom Brady's power rankings. I imagine he just sits down with a list and goes, I think that team's better than that team, and that team's better than that team. I like to have a little substance to it where you come in going, okay, this is why I've got this team ranked higher than the others, right? So essentially, here's what we've got with our power rankings. If you're new here, this is how I come up with my power rankings, all right? We go win percentage. The record should matter, in my opinion. We go offensive scoring, points per play, defensive scoring, points per play allowed, offensive yards per play allowed, or yards per play, defensive yards per play allowed, and then turnover margin. I feel like those are the most important aspects to give you a good idea of how good a team is. And one of the reasons I like the winning percentage there too is because anytime you have worse rankings to the right of the winning percentage and the winning percentage is kind of high, it tells you that team's probably got a good coaching staff. They're probably coaching above what the team is actually performing. And I think that's a good indicator. It's almost like I look at that win percentage when it's in stark contrast to the other cells here, Emilio. I kind of look at it like, okay, that's an indicator, pretty damn good football coach. Like, let me give you an example right off the bat. We got Denver here in the number 7 spot, right? So they've got they're tied for the best winning percentage in the league. But look at, they're 16th in scoring on offense, right? They're 15th in yardage, yards per play on offense, and they're 21st in turnover margin, but somehow they get the best record, probably making some great game day decisions in terms of the coach. Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, because look at what kind of performance you're getting out of there. Same thing. You kind of look at the Bears with it. You're getting a lot out of that team with how Ben's able to coach it with their winning percentage there. But the rest of the numbers, man, brutal. How are you getting to that? Are you getting to that green box with all these other ones being orange and red?
Yeah, definitely. Let's hit this super chat real quick. We'll get back to the power rankings. Dennis Shook with the super. Thank you, buddy. He says, has Rashawn Gary ever been a quick win rate guy in previous seasons? Andy Herman keeps mentioning that his quick win rate is basically the worst in the league. I don't ever remember him being a quick shed guy. To me, he's a power rusher. When I think, and again, this is just me kind of answering the question on the fly, and I'll get your take, Emilio. I've never looked at Gary like, okay, it's going to be a quick beat and he's to the quarterback. To me, it's more of a bull rush, playing with power, and a really good run defender. How do you see that?
Yeah, same way. Yeah, I mean, because you see the way he can engage one of those sleds, the way he has to drive, the forward lean. He's never been one of those. Let me get sideways like a dude. Those guys on the bikes, Clay, that are just ripping around those corners and 100 miles an hour, touch the knee to the side. That's not happening. He's a big physical guy. He's strong. It's you were never really complaining about Preston, right? But Preston was kind of that long, lengthy guy, and that gets vertical and gets depth with the pocket that way. I don't. Yeah, I'm not expecting Rashawn to ever be a quick win rate guy, one of those power rusher archetypes. And I think he's true to that for sure.
Definitely. And he's never been a top tier pass rusher, in my opinion. I've never looked at him like a Myles Garrett, a TJ Watt, players like that, although he's outperformed them many years of his career, believe it or not, last year being one, which was wild to think about how people were so upset with Rashawn Gary. But I remember when we kept checking the numbers throughout the year, better run stop rate and a better at a certain point he had a better pass rush rate in terms of quarterback pressures according to NFL Pros. So Bates here points out Micah Parsons 4.39, Rashawn Gary 4.58 for reference. There you go, man. There you go. And that's the difference between a thick stack backer going up against a cornerback, right, Emilio?
Yep, absolutely. And then to that point, Bates has Caleb of his 40 time of 4.56, Nick's of a 40 time of 4.17. So, you would need Caleb being at that 4.5, Parsons 3.43 takes care of it. Bo's 4.7, Rashawn's 5.8 takes care of it. So you still have the speed up with both of them. But again, it's just who are you going against? What do you need? I think Rashawn's perfect for what you can't have 4 or 5 Micahs on the team. I mean, theoretically, yeah, but you're not looking for 4 or 5 speed rushers to only come off the edge, only on third down, right? It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for that info, Bates. Appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat, Dennis. You're the man. All right, back to the power ratings or power rankings. Let's just go through and hit them real quick. So obviously the ranking is in this column here over to the far left. So we've got the LA Rams 1, Seattle Seahawks 2, Green Bay has now climbed to 3, Indianapolis Colts still in the 4 spot, Detroit Lions 5, New England Patriots 6, Denver Broncos 7th, Jacksonville Jaguars 8th, Houston Texans 9th, and the Philadelphia Eagles 10th. Then you've got Buffalo, Pittsburgh, the LA Chargers, the Chicago Bears, the Kansas City Chiefs, the San Francisco 49ers, and then the Baltimore Ravens, Miami Dolphins, and then we'll round out the top 20 with the Atlanta Falcons. So when you look at this and how it lays out, again, low number wins on the far right. We're taking an average of all the other rankings here. Green Bay is currently 3rd on the power rankings because they're 5th in winning percentage across the league. Again, I know we wanted to fire Matt LaFleur. He's got the 5th best winning percentage in the entire league right now out of 32 teams, which is wild to think about. Offensive scoring, points per play, the Packers are now 9th. Defensive scoring, points per play allowed, they are 5th. Offensive yardage, yards per play, they're 8th. And then defense, yards per play allowed, they are 5th. And don't look now, Emilio, but the turnover margin, they've climbed all the way up to 8th now. So we're officially a top 10 team in turnover margin. That gives them a score of 6.7. The only teams they trail are two other NFC teams, with the LA Rams at number 1 and the Seattle Seahawks at number 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can kind of see where Seattle there is on the cusp. If they have, a few more turnovers their way, they're in good shape. If they have a few less or they turn it over a couple more times, you see that's where they're going to be their Achilles heel. But they're being super efficient. I think we're kind of sitting perfect where we're at right now. Top 10 closing in on top 5. Your top 5 on some things. You have, a lot of things going well for you, but you're not humming completely 100%, which is perfect because you need to be getting better. I'd say we're 75, 80. We're looking great. We're having some mistakes here and there, but you just want to be able to keep building and adding to that. Right now, it's one of the highest we've been, right? 3rd or 2nd, the highest we've been this year for anyone. Obviously, PTA's rankings, but everybody else out there, I don't think we've hit that number 1 spot. I think you can kind of prove it when you go out here against an AFC opponent that's leading their division as well.
As Clint says here in the chat, looks like a dogfight. It really does. As we start to look at the Denver Broncos, here's what we got, guys. They are 1st in winning percentage, 16th in scoring, points per play, fourth in defensive scoring in points per play allowed. All right. They're 15th in yards per play and then on offense. And then on defense, they're first in the league in yards per play allowed. So what you've got here is a legit top five, I would say a top three defense, arguably the best defense in the league, because when you're first in yards per play allowed, their teams cannot move the ball on you, and you're still fourth in scoring. That tells me that the red zone defense is probably holding up pretty good too. So the weak spot of Denver here is their offense. They're 16th in scoring. They're 15th in yards per play, and then turnover margin, much like you said with Seattle, they're 21st. Well, what that tells you, seeing that they've got the best winning percentage, like we already said, Denver they're being coached really, really well right now.
Yep.
You're talking about game management, everything across the board. Sean Payton's doing a hell of a job with the Denver Broncos. So when you go up against a team, Emilio, I typically look at this, and we're going to do a little mini preview of the Packers Broncos in a second, but I typically look at a multitude of things. I start head coach versus head coach. I got to give the edge to Sean Payton because Sean Payton's won a Super Bowl. Yep. Okay. That matters more to me than the winning percentage personally, and from an overall perspective. Now, Sean Payton is significantly lower than Matt LaFleur in career winning percentage, but he's also coaching a lot more games, I would imagine. So I'd give the slight edge to Sean Payton as they sit right now. Quarterback matchup, Jordan Love versus Bo Nix, definitely going to Jordan Love. Yep. Pass rushers, it's tough, man. Micah's arguably the best pass rusher in the game, but Nick Bonito's got 12.5 sacks too. They're getting after the quarterback. So kind of feel like that might be a push right there. And when you go to the interior of the defensive line, probably going to have to give Denver the edge there. But what do you think in terms of these two matching up here once you see Denver's numbers? Again, first in scoring, 16th. I'm sorry, first in win percentage, 16th in scoring, fourth in scoring defense, 15th in yardage on offense, and then first in yards allowed on defense, and wrapping up 21st turnover margin.
Yeah, their two losses were by a total of 4 points. 1 point was to the Colts, and then 3 points was to the Chargers. And in those two games, the only thing that really hindered them was the Colts loss. Their coverage was a 39-7, and the Chargers lost. Their coverage was a 52-6. I think that's the only way you're going to try to crack them. They had a 57 run defense in the Chargers game as well. But, you look at it, say, okay, their defense really is that elite. No matter what, with those two games, their defense really is that good. Their coverage is good. If you can beat them and have this offense try to chase you down, being at that 16 and 15 points per play and yards per play, the offense isn't able to kind of keep up with that. I think that's where you might be able to run them down in a shootout a little bit easier than if you're trying to just, knock out, drag them out sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. Soder in the chat. Denver is tied with the 1985 Bears in sacks through 13 games. This defense is legit. They are legit. So love to see that. And listen, some people get nervous with these games. They're like, "Oh God, we got a tough opponent." I love it. Like, let's go out there and crack skulls. Let's see what our team's got. Let's see how they stack up against arguably the best team in the league. Let's go see.
Because one, it's still the regular season. If a loss happens, it's fine. It's an AFC team. You get to learn and build off of it. You get tape. You get experience. All right, what do we need to know going into that's a playoff caliber team? All these things line up that you can build on coming into these final weeks.
Yeah. And as Robert says here in the chat, praying on our O-line to be on their A game.
Did you listen to Ryan's pod today?
I did not. What did Ryan?
Oh man, he was going on the O-line, man. He was letting him, but I like how he worked the numbers and pulled everything up. He's basically saying this is like one of the worst offensive lines we've kind of had in like PFF era. So yeah, I think you're completely on that, Roberto. We got to get this. So with that wall needs to be built back up. We got some foundation issues on the O-line there.
Yeah, I think so too, man. Let's hit this super chat real quick, and then we're going to get to a Chicago question. Howling in the chat says, "I'm telling you, the return of Rivers has all of the AFC shaking in their boots. Packers by 20+." So he is saying here, Amelia, I love this propaganda right here, baby. He is saying, Howling Whataburger is saying that Phillip Rivers signing and showing up to practice today in Indianapolis is going to have a cross effect on the Denver Broncos, and they're going to be so focused and worried on that the Packers going to come in and boat race the Broncos by 20 points. I love
I like that.
I'm all
I like
about it.
that.
Yeah. What do you think about Phillip Rivers coming back, man? Before we move on to the next segment,
Dude, I think it's pretty awesome. When I was playing Madden, let's kick it to Darren Sproles and Antonio Gates, and he can spin it. Phillip Rivers can, man. But I think it was Tim talking about or was it you? Maybe the mic'd up when he goes off on some of those. The dude's just a gamer. I think he just loves playing the game. If he sees Rodgers out there still doing it, and he's out there, well, why not, man? Right? You take a couple licks. I think DJ and Buck were talking. It's either going to go really great and he's going to make a run and it's going to be magical, or it's not going to go really great and it's going to look rough out there. You're going to take a couple licks and maybe say, yeah, I'm done. But I'm excited for it, man.
Nothing in between. No,
it
won't be he did okay. It'll be, damn, Phillip still got it. Or it'll be, is he out of the hospital yet? Like,
it's exactly. You got Joe and Roger still doing it right now. But I think it's also, you look at those guys, bigger, taller. You're not expecting Drew Brees to come back and spin it one more time, right? You have to kind of have that body type, that physique, that build, and then the knowledge on top of it. You can beat a defense with quick passes and a heady quarterback, but you got to get yourself into that position to do it.
You got to get the ball out of your hand. Can't take hits, right? Well, and that's what I was going to say about this whole pass rush everybody talking about. Thank you for that super chat, Howling. We appreciate you. Is Jordan Love just needs to get the ball out of his hand. Keep getting it out of his hand, right?
Yeah. Yep.
That's the big thing. And I'm excited to kind of dive into some of the coverage. I don't have any of the updated coverage rankings. I need to go grab those. But I could probably look. We'll get into that. Remind me, Emilio, before we wrap up the mini preview. I definitely want to look at their pass defense, yards per play allowed, or passing yards allowed per play. We'll definitely dive into that. One question here, and then we'll move on. Willie, oh my gosh.
I was laughing at that one earlier, but you had a good one-liner in the earlier one.
I just now read the name.
Willie CC.
This is Willie CC. I want to read it so bad. It's just one of those names. And there's nothing that brings me more joy than these people that have live YouTube streams and they read off a random name and they realize, oh, no, that's one of those, and they get caught. So This is Mr. Clapper Cheeks, Willie Clapper Cheeks. So, all right. He says, God, this show sucks. He didn't say that. I said that. Chicago is chalking up their game against the Browns as an automatic, but as we know, you can't do that. I'd love for Cleveland to knock them down. How cool would that be, man? And let's just take a quick look here while Mr. Clapper Cheeks is on the screen.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
All right, Chicago we have in the number 14 spot in the power rankings. They're 6th in winning percentage, 13th in scoring on offense, 28th in scoring defense, 11th in yardage on offense, 30th in yards per play allowed on defense, and they're still number 1 in turnover margin, okay? Cleveland, however, got to go way down here toward the bottom. They're 24th in winning percentage, 29th in scoring on offense, 20th in scoring defense. Offensive yards per play, they're 31st. So they're cheeks at moving the ball, right? And then yards per play allowed on defense, they're 3rd, okay? Mm-hmm. So their scoring defense is showing 20th, and thought it was a good defense. It is, but again, they're giving up a lot of points because their offense sucks so bad, right?
Right.
So that's why I like to include both of those numbers right there because it gives you a little bit better understanding. It's hard to move the football in the Cleveland defense. Their offense is giving the ball away. I mean, you see turnover margin, they're 16th. Now, we'd have to go look at their defensive turnovers, obviously, to see how often they're taking the ball away. Mm-hmm. Chicago should win this game pretty darn easily, Emilio.
Unless Shador has a game, Clayton. Unless Shador takes off, man, and throws for another 300.
That's a fair point, right? Because he's just that was his first game starting, right?
That was his first start, right? Yeah, and they probably should have won it, but he took him out on the 2-point play, and then Judkins didn't toss it on the reverse. So honestly, he probably should have had a W there. But I'm excited for him to spin it again. It's not the Cleveland Browns we played. It's not Joe Flacco Cleveland Browns. It's going to be different, right? They're going to have a little bit more speed on offense, maybe a little bit more mobility. You got an extender built, like Caleb and Shador, just not as fast. So it's going to be a different game.
What I'm showing here too is the Bears are 7.5-point favorites at home. The forecast is 6 degrees, and they said the wind chill is supposed to be -20. So
Wow.
anything can happen in a game like that. So
I love that.
Going to be a lot of fun there, Mr. Clapper. We'll keep a close eye on that for sure. So that's the PTA power rankings. If you guys are watching this video back later, let us know in the comments. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with when it comes to these power rankings that we've thrown together? You know the formula now, right? So judge it accordingly. Green Bay, we've gotten a number 3 spot. Denver, we got in a number 7 spot. So it's a battle of 2 top 10 teams. Some would say Denver's the best team in the league. It's hard for me to argue with that. We've got Green Bay a little bit higher because their offense, they're just more consistent across the board in every phase of the game, as opposed to just dominating on defense and kind of being middle of the pack on offense. But we want to hear from you guys. Make sure you comment, hit like, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you're notified when we go live in the future. Another thing, too, if you don't have a comment, just hit us with the Go Pack Go. What you got, Emilio?
Take that too. And if you want to see this in person, I'm going to go ahead and add it to the Patreon once we get off here so that anybody that has access to Patreon will as well have access to the rankings. I think the last time we updated it was week 12. So just want to get you an updated one in there, and then you can kind of compare and contrast as well.
Yeah, so you guys will have access to this along with other chats and everything in the Patreon group, patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. And we're also going to be doing a giveaway tonight where everybody who's a member on Patreon is actually going to be on the wheel that we're going to spin too. So just another perk to supporting the channel. All right, Emilio, let's move along to the PFF preview here. I'm excited to get into it. And again, we're not going to get into the individual matchups. We're going to look at the kind of the line, just kind of a very 30,000 foot view of how these teams match up in PFF's eyes and some of the gambling community as well. So let's get this up on the screen.
You do that, you're going to get your ass kicked in that.
That's right. If you lose money, Andy will kick your ass. I promise you that. That's going to happen. So, all right, here's what we got, Emilio. It's on the road in Denver. They're showing 39 degrees. Now, it is a 4:25 kickoff. The high that day is 60. The low is like 32. So it probably will be in the 40s to upper 30s by the time the game is over. So that's what they're showing. That is going to be on CBS. I imagine that'll be Jim Nance and Tony Romo. That'll be a fun one to watch and listen to. But currently the Packers, even though they're on the road, Emilio, they're currently favorites, 2.5-point favorites. Does that catch you off guard a little bit that the Packers are 2.5-point favorites on the road to the team with the best winning percentage in the league?
I would say yes, but then again, going back looking at it, their last win by more than 7 points was at the Dallas Cowboys. So they will beat Houston by 3, the Raiders by 3. I remember that game. That was brutal, the 10-7 game. Then they beat the Chiefs by 3, 22-19, Washington by 1, 27-26. And then the Raiders this past week, they only were able to add, 4 points to that first one, 24-17. That team is winning games, yes, not by a lot. The differential is probably not a lot, and they're not blowing out teams. You're seeing sort of consistency, but you get them to break that consistency or have a hiccup or two, you can make a move on this team.
Yeah, Reef in the chat says Bo has been playing weak. I want to say his PFF grade last I checked is somewhere in the middle mark, like he's somewhere around between 15 and 20, right? Not playing horrible, but definitely not playing his best ball for sure. And that kind of happens with these young football players, the young quarterbacks in their second or third year in the league. Teams start to catch on to tendencies, and they have to adjust on the fly for sure. So that's how it sits right now. The Packers are 2.5-point favorites. PFF has it closer than that at 1.9. Now, if we were to use our power rankings, the Kentucky bout came out. I was about to say power. Do you hear that? Power ranking.
It's coming.
We've got a 6.7 score on the Packers, right, on our power rankings. And then you've got the Denver Broncos at a 9.7. So that's an even 3, okay? And you know how they say you can get 1.5 to 3 on the road. So if the Packers are 3-point favorites and you're playing in Denver, pretty much a push. If it's just 1.5, that would put the Packers as 1.5-point favorites. And you see the market's got it at 2.5. So very, very interesting. Now, when you look at the money here, 70% of the money is on the Denver Broncos. Okay. 70% of the money is on the Denver Broncos plus 2.5. All right. So remember the stat we talked about. They updated the numbers today, and I can't remember exactly what they were, but I think last week the sports books won all but one game where 60% of the money or more was on the 60% or more of the public's money was on one side. Only one of the games that fell like that at 60% or more actually went the public's way. So the point here is 70% on the money on Denver plus 2.5. Probably going to lose that bet. The numbers are suggesting that throughout this year, when you look at the gambling statistics in terms of the public versus the books, with teams 60% or more of the money is on that team. Does that make sense, Emilio?
Yep.
So this moral of the story, as a Packers fan, you love to see this. You love to see all that money on Denver here plus 2.5.
Hey, home field, all that. Go ahead and take it, whatever. What matters for us, you can look at the spread, the numbers. We need that W at the column. If we don't, again, AFC, out of division, all that, you can still come back from it. But honestly, I love the test more than anything. Yeah, give them whatever points, give them the spread, whatever we need. I think it's a perfect opportunity for us. You're going to get the Broncos, and then you get the Bears, and you go right back to a Ravens team that's going to be scrappy. So you get a team that's at the high in the AFC. You get a team trying to fight for the AFC, and then you get a rival in between. It's nice how the schedule laid out. I remember looking early, man, with that early bye, we were not happy, not excited about it, and just how it kind of played out the rest of this season, man. I think we're kind of lucky with it.
Yeah, and again, those numbers hold up against the spread. The money line, that rule does not apply. Okay, so with the money line, it looks like 65% of the money is on Green Bay to win the game outright. Now, again, those numbers that we talked about, those tendencies that you're noticing from the books beating the public this year, that's just on point spread. It has nothing to do with money line. I did get that confirmed earlier today. And then, of course, the over-under is set at 42.5, it looks like. Is what the over-under is set at currently. And again, the weather should be nice out there. It should be really, really nice, especially for Denver this time of the year. Now, when we dive into how these teams rank in terms of team metrics out of all 32 teams, okay, PFF has the Packers second overall. You notice how we're always within one or two with our power rankings of where PFF seems to sit? That's kind of cool, man.
Mm-hmm.
They got Denver number 8.
Yeah, it's 7.
We have them 7. There you go. That's wild. Just now realizing that. So Packers are second. The Denver Broncos are 8th. In terms of defense, they've got the Broncos ranked 4th. The Packers are 12th. So the Broncos get the edge there. In terms of offense, they've got the Packers ranked 3rd. The Broncos ranked 10th. So the advantage goes to the Packers. And then strength of schedule played, the Packers have played the 15th toughest schedule so far. The Broncos have played the 28th toughest schedule. And you pointed out 2 or 3 games there, Emilio. They struggled against bad teams, right?
They struggled against the Raiders. What was it, that Thursday night game where it was 7-7 forever, and then I think they caught a field goal late or something just against the Raiders, man? I mean, come on. I think you can get up on this team. I'd like to see them play from behind and see what they have in them, because it's going to be a test for them too. It's not like they're a super veteran team, with everything. They're not steadfast, and all that. So I think that we do have a chance with, getting on them a little bit.
Yeah. So against the Raiders there in week 14, right? They won that game, but they were 8-point favorites. They did not cover the spread there, right? Week 13 at the Commanders, they won that game by 1 point, like you were saying. They barely beat the Chiefs by 3 points, a Chiefs team that's struggling there, right? And then, of course, the Raiders, they beat by 3 points in week 10. So if you looked at the last 4 game saturation, they barely beat the Raiders by 3. They barely beat the Chiefs by 3. They beat the Commanders by 1 point. And then they beat the Raiders by, 7 points, right? Am I thinking right? Yeah, yep. 7. So, so it kind of puts things a little more into perspective of the type of football they're playing right now. Now, again, it could be that teams have caught on, and now the adjustment to the adjustment is going to come from Sean Payton. That could happen any moment too, right?
Yeah.
We know that could happen.
The Washington team we beat in week 2 is completely different from the Washington team in week 12. Night and day difference. So them getting that W is different from our W, but you can't put a point. I mean, you can't put a contextual point difference on that, right? Just by looking at the schedule.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. So again, the Packers it's showing they were 2-point favorites here, but I think the line is currently at 2.5 or maybe
That's the spread, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. 2.5. It's actually 2.5 is what the market shows. And then down there on the schedule, they're showing 2. So it may have opened at 2.
Gotcha.
Did it open at 2? Let's see here. It may have. Where's the market at? No, it's been 2.5 the whole time, according to PFF. And they're, again, you could probably get it at 2. Hell, you might be able to tease it and get it to 1.5 somewhere for a good action. So, but again, that's kind of how they're stacking up against each other at the moment. Average offensive snaps. The Broncos are averaging 68 offensive snaps. The Packers 64. Percentage of run plays. The Packers are running the ball 43.5% of the time. The Broncos are only running at 37% of the time. So they're going to be a little more pass happy than the Packers.
Mike is licking his chops, is what you're saying. So we get to scheme up a couple of pass rushes, what you're saying.
Yeah. And they've got I'd say the reason Sean Payton is throwing the ball so much is, man, Sean Payton, they have a hell of an offensive line. Their offensive line is like the strength of this team, in my opinion. You know, they got receivers like Cortland Sutton. I think they got a good tight end too. I'm trying to remember who it was, but I was kind of combing through the roster earlier. I'm like, okay, they got a good solid offense. I looked at the offensive line. I'm like, holy cow.
Yeah.
That offensive line, they're studs, dude. Absolutely studs. So EPA per run, the Packers have the slight edge there at minus 0.02. The Broncos are at minus 0.05. Believe it or not, we have a higher EPA per run, right, than the Broncos do. That's interesting. And then EPA per pass, it's not even close. We're sitting at a positive 0.23. They're at a positive 0.05. So everything down the board, across the board here, is screaming the Packers have the advantage, other than the power ranking on defense, essentially. And I would agree with that. I think they probably do have a little bit better defense. Now, is it as much of a difference between 4th and 12th? Probably not, in my opinion. I think it's more like 4th and 8th, maybe 4th and 7th, something like that. But yeah, that's how they match up. Anything else you want to touch on there before we get into the quarterback matchup?
No, I think just taking into account, like you said, their pass percentage, they're going to be spinning it a lot. If you kind of stifle that run early, what are they going to do? You get a lead, what are they going to do? They're going to lean into that pass even more. You get Bo dropping back, throwing it 40, 50 times. Let's see where he's at after that. So I think that maybe, we can kind of – and again, I'd rather him – let's keep everything in front of us for a little while, first quarter or two, see where we're at, see what it looks like at halftime. Do we want to keep shelling them and keep everything in front of us, or do we want to bring a little pressure? So I think Mike has got a chance. But you're completely right. The pass blocking, the worst grade for their offensive pass blocking in a game this year was a 61-1 against the Jets. I mean, their best was an 84-4. That's a consistent pass blocking O-line, so we need to figure out a way to crack it.
Yeah, definitely. And, maybe the answer there is play a little cage rush and make sure you're consistently putting 7 in coverage, right? And just say, you know what, we're not going to be able to hit home much, so let's make him a little bit antsy, compress the center of the pocket, keep a cage rush on, and have 7 in coverage and make him throw into coverage all day. Because, again, their turnover margin was a little bit off, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
right? 21st, yeah. So.
But in their run blocking, even still, Clay, the worst run blocking game they had was 52 against the Chargers, which was one of their losses. Besides that, they only had 4 of them in the 50s, 2 60s, and then 4 of them in the 50s. Their highest one was an 88-2. So it's not like they haven't had a Cleveland Brown game like our offensive line had, where just the whole thing disintegrated. So what can happen if that does happen to them?
Yeah, definitely. All right, quarterback matchup. Here's how PFF sees it. Jordan Love, 89.9 PFF grade. I repeat, Jordan Love, 89.9 PFF grade. It's amazing. Bo Nix, 73.0. Good grade, Emilio. Solid grade, right? Passer rating when clean. Jordan Love, 131.7. Bo Nix, 98.8. Passer rating under pressure. Again, it doesn't mean when they blitz. It means when pressure gets to Jordan, his passer rating goes down to a 48.8, according to PFF. You can check other websites for varying, grades there, or numbers, I should say. Bo Nix, 53.3 under pressure. Okay. Mm-hmm. Big time throw percentage. Jordan Love, 5.48%. Bo Nix, 3.68%. What's that tell you? Bo Nix is probably throwing to a little bit more schemed open players, right? And maybe not had the team on his back do You know what I mean? Throwing
Right.
into into game-winning situations, that type of thing. As we're Jordan, we've seen it all year long. I mean, my goodness, is the comeback kid. Turnover-worthy play percentage, Jordan slightly higher at 2.63 than Bo Nix at a 2.57. What's that tell you with that turnover margin? They're probably not taking the ball away very often, and they're probably putting the ball on the turf with fumbles, I would imagine, right? That'd probably be what unless teams have just capitalized on every single opportunity in terms of turnover-worthy plays there from Bo Nix. Power rating, Jordan Love 4.5, Bo Nix 2.0. So that ranks Jordan Love in power ranking ninth in the league, Bo Nix 20th. There's no doubt about it, Emilio. We have the better quarterback. Now, got to show up and play. Bo Nix could play elite for one game, and Jordan could have an off game. But on the surface, Jordan Love is a significantly better quarterback, especially here in 2025.
He was the best guy around.
And that's it. I mean, you're looking at Bo. All right, good job. I'm glad he's coming along. But Jordan Love is that dude. There's no taking that from him, right? He's doing great under pressure. Yeah, we're working on it, but you could get those under pressure numbers up if we had a little bit more help from the O-line. So there's other things contributing to some of those low numbers. Big time throw percentage. You're not afraid. Let him go out there and spin it. And it's part of the offense, right? When we get those explosive plays, that brings the energy for the team. It brings the energy for the offense, the defense, knowing that, we have that, like Mike has said, that's my $200 million quarterback. Sit back down. We're good. Let him do his thing. Let Matt do his thing. And it's going to be a battle against Bo, but I think you can maybe crack him here.
Yeah. Marco in the chat says, I'm excited for this matchup. I am too, man. I am really, really fired up. That's one of my favorite stadiums in the league, too. I hate that they're going to be going to a newer one. Just love Mile High. I think it's just everything that's right with football. Most of the time, it's cold weather football out there. High altitude. There's always a beautiful backdrop. It's going to be a fun game to watch, man. It's going to be absolutely awesome.
Joe Pack Joe said he wants it said. The Broncos have two former 49ers who single-handedly have ended our playoff season, so this is a revenge game for me. At least.
I like it. I like it, Joe. If it's a revenge game for you, it's a revenge game for me, bub. I love it. Love it. All right, so there is your early PFF preview of Packers Broncos. If you're watching this video back later, let us know in the comments, how do you feel about this matchup, man? And listen, Bronco fans will probably be watching this video too. Let us know in the comments how you feel about your Broncos matching up against the Packers. And we want to hear from everyone. Let us know what you think about Jordan Love versus Bo Nix. What do you think of the point spread? Everything in between. Let us know in the comments. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you know every time we hit that live button here in the future. All right, Emilio, the time has come, sir. The time has come. We're going to be giving away an autographed Jordan Morgan rookie card here, sir. You ready for this? Look, this is going to, again, the algorithm over here. You ready for this?
Spin that thing.
Look.
Ooh-wee.
Mandy trying to get me to buy her bracelet, Pandora.
Mandy's smart, man. I don't know. She's a smart lady. I don't know how she does it.
She's over firing off Google stuff during the show. So anytime I show a window that's not ad free, it's going to be,
every night you go to bed, she grabs your phone and just starts searching stuff for like 20 minutes. So that tomorrow morning when it fires up, you're good.
Exactly. Holmes MD1 knows as soon as that wheel pops up on the screen, the fix is in, baby.
How dare you?
All right, guys, help me out in the chat. Somebody's already putting a number. I love it. J. Cole. Right. See, J. Cole, they'll say that I told you to post that in there, all right? So we're going to go with a random one here in a second. Of course, they'll say that I used that one. So random numbers in the chat, 1 to 10. Jen Wright said 9. J. Cole said 7. So Turtles said 10. So let's go 10 minus J. Cole's 7. That'll be 3 plus the 4 of Doug. That's 7.
I was waiting for it.
We're going 7 shuffles here, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, Emilio, you ready for this? Your name is not on this list.
It better be.
I don't want to pat you on the butt and you poop my hand. So,
all right, the winner of the autographed Jordan Morgan, I repeat, autographed Jordan Morgan rookie card is Josh Hooley. Look at that. Cranked it up for him and everything. I like it. That's what I'm talking about. Josh Hooley, you are the winner of the Jordan Morgan card.
Dang.
So, maybe next time, Emilio.
Turner didn't get it.
My 3 burners didn't win the night. So again, just want to say thanks to everybody in our Patreon group, our YouTube members, all that good stuff. Thank y'all for supporting. Not so cool said hit them with the who. That is a good time to hit the who there. Josh Hooley. Who? All right, there you go. Asking you shall receive. And Sixer says it's rigged. There you go, man.
You'll have that.
Always. All right. Anything else, Emilio, before we wrap this big bear up? Man, this was fun. We had a big crowd in here, too. Thanks to everybody who jumped in here and talked ball with us tonight, man. The chat was on fire.
No, absolutely. And I did take a peek at that one you did earlier there. It's good to see them out there. Good to see Marshawn Lloyd back. You are right. That dude is explosive. And he's twitched up. It would be super cool if he was good to go, right? And able to come back. But just good to see that we're getting healthy. Yeah, you're limited here and there, but that's all right. We're going to be building on that moving forward. I did have the note for the coverage stats, pass defense numbers, but if we don't have time for them.
No, let's do it. Let's hit it real quick. I won't put it on the screen, but I'll read it off. I did want to know, we're talking about their pass defense, right?
Yeah.
So their pass defense in terms of yards per pass attempt allowed, all right? Oh, me no likey this, G. And Denver is 3rd in the league at 5.6. But you know who's tied for them at 3rd, Emilio, at 5.6? Your Green Bay Packers, sir.
Come on,
get over here. Built to ass. BTA. Know what I'm saying?
It reminds me of the bird celebration. What are they doing?
Yeah.
Right? I love it.
Whenever I think of that, I always think of the replacements. Eagle over cover 4. Like
such a good movie, man. All right, guys, we're out. Thank y'all so much. We'll be back tomorrow. I got to run to Kentucky early in the morning. If I get back in time, we'll do an early afternoon show, and then we'll hit y'all with an evening show where we'll do the full PFF preview. We'll show you our offense against their defense, their offense against our defense. It'll lay out all the grades of the starting players to kind of give you a little bit better idea of where some of the matchups may or may not be there. And we'll make sure we dive into everything that is Packers, Broncos. We'll have another updated injury report as well. So hopefully we continue to hear good news from Lucas Van Ness, Marshawn Lloyd, and the guys. So appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Please do us a big favor. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, and click the bell icon so you're notified every time that we smash that go live button. And again, just an update on the numbers. You guys are crushing the like button. The like button is what's making the big difference here. Everybody's taking a second to just hit that like button. We're now up to 7,240 subs. We've picked up over the last, golly, I don't want to mislead here. Let me look at it here. Over the last 2 days, this is going to blow your mind. We've picked up 170 subs in the last 2 days. So you guys, again, it has nothing to do with us. It's you guys just hitting that like button, and it throws the video into the algorithm on YouTube, and other people see it and go, hey, these guys suck, but I kind of like to chat. That's how it works.
Clay, that basically means that we've doubled the subscribers since just before the draft, because we were at like 3,500. We wanted to get to 4 by the draft. That's unbelievable. I mean, again, thank you to everybody out there. And now when you hit the like button, it turns into a football. So you should try it just to be sure.
I noticed that.
Sure. Yeah, just go ahead and hit that and make sure.
I didn't set that up either, by the way. I didn't do anything there. So it reads, I guess it
knows we talk ball.
I guess it does. Or we try to talk ball, right? And also the views in the last 2 days is 30.
Six has been doing the Lord's work over there. He said he's been promoting PTA in the ESPN chat just so that they know.
Let's go. 42,000 views in the last 48 hours. That's insane. It's absolutely awesome. So again, because you guys are helping spread the word, we greatly appreciate it. But that's it. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Everybody have a wonderful evening. Emilio, thank you for your time, man.
Always, man. Appreciate it.
Say something bad about Jacob real quick.
Jacob, unbelievable, man. Just open your blinds sometimes, man. Go touch grass, Jacob.
That's it. We're out.
Here we go.
Bye, guys.